So although the practices are always tailored to you and how you can practice better, if ever you feel a little bit off or something doesn't feel right, please listen to your body. Take a step back, tailor down the exercise or that pose to what feels right in your body. Have a chair, have some water handy, and just please make sure that you stop and take a break if you need. We want to practice safely, we want to practice smartly, and we don't want to cause any injuries. Okay. Okay. So today we're going to be thinking all about flexibility. So flexibility and mobility work hand in hand. Thinking about flexibility is the extensibility of our muscles and the joints around them. So thinking about flexible hamstrings, how far you can fold over. And then mobility would be the ability to control the joints and the muscles around that area. So you might be super flexible, but you might not be able to be really controlled of that movement. So today we're going to be thinking about flexibility. So how extended your muscles can be, and we're going to be working to that together. Have with you a strap, that could be a dressing gown tie. Have some yoga blocks. I'm sitting on mine now, and I would recommend you to do the same if you're going to be sitting down, if you're not practicing in a chair. And then the other thing would be some cushions. This could really help to protect your knees whilst we're in some of our folds or even our child's pose. It could feel a little bit more accessible to you with cushions. Okay, get yourself comfortable, whether that's in your chair or on the floor, sitting on a block. Now, whether you can sit comfortably on the floor or not, I want you to be on a block. This is because it helps us lift up, it helps the crown of the head reach high, and it helps the length from the crown of the head and tailbone really extend nicely, rather than sitting like this all hunched over. So we want to sit up nice and tall. This not just helps the breathing, but it helps the core engage because the diaphragm is part of the core, and it helps our general posture. If we have a good posture, it helps our confidence. It's all of these things that merge into one, okay? Sitting here in that comfortable position, whatever that looks like to you, hands onto the thighs, palms facing up, and close down the eyes. Take this time to settle into your mat, into your chair, into your block, and breathe. In through the nose, deep inhales filling up all the way to the belly, belly expanding towards me. And on your exhale through your nose, belly starting to come back in. Keep going, keep feeling this breath expanding through the belly, maybe reaching up to the back and sides of the ribs, all the way up to the chest. And then exhaling that air through the chest, and then finally from the belly. Just take a moment here to think about how you are feeling in this moment. Check in with your jaw. Are you clenching right now? If you're clenching that jaw, take the tongue away from the roof of the mouth, and maybe even just loosely part the lips. Are you squinting even though you've got those eyes closed? And give yourself permission to fully relax. Your shoulders are away from the ears, and you're feeling this juxtaposition of the crown of the head lifting, feeling light. And then the tailbone, whether it's on your chair or your block, is feeling really heavy and grounded here. Use these breaths to bring you into your mat, into this safe space that you have created for our practice today, where you don't need to think about anything else other than these few cues that I'm going to be giving you. If all you end up thinking about is your breath, that is good enough for me, and that should be good enough for you. Remember that this seated position is always available to you. Okay, take 3 more deep breaths. In through your nose, out through your nose. Really cement this feeling of this deep breath into your brain and use it throughout the rest of your practice. Okay, once you come to the end of that last breath, start to blink the eyes open. And then take the left ear down to the left shoulder, extend the right arm out to the right, flexing through that hand, so bringing the fingers back towards your body. And feeling how this stretch all the way down the right side changes as you move the arm. So find this position with the right hand that feels the most amount of stretch, the best amount of stretch for your body for that right side of the neck. Don't force anything. Just go with your body and your breath. Inhale slowly all the way back up to neutral, and then tuck the chin to the chest. Don't move anything else other than the chin going to the chest, feeling this stretch down the back of the neck. Trying to keep these shoulders nice and loose. Inhale, gaze back up to me. And then right ear to the right shoulder, extend this left arm beside you, flexing that arm up. Just find this ideal position where you feel the most amount of stretch with that arm, really stretching all the way up through that left side of the neck. Whilst we're here, whilst we're in this seated position, really feel nice and tall, even whilst we're folding over like this. Keeping the chest nice and bright, nice and open, so that we can get the most amount of oxygen into our breath. So ever so slightly thinking about the shoulder blades pulling together. Coming back up to neutral. So push shoulder blades coming together so we can really open up this chest rather than sitting here like this. Really think about that really nice posture, nice and light and lifted. Okay, take the head all the way up. Take the gaze all the way up. Don't be tempted to dump into this neck. Keep some control here and don't take that head too far back. Maybe you part the lips. That might take some strain out. And then coming back to neutral. Just coming through some rotations of the head, taking that gaze over the right shoulder, all the way forward, over to the left. Keep going in your own time. Just taking note of how easy this is for you, how far you can take that neck round. With all of our practice, don't strain. Just go with where you are feeling today. Okay, coming back to neutral. Hands interlaced behind your head. Big inhale. We're going to draw the elbows away from one another. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. Take this gaze up. Stick your bum out so you've got a nice big arch in your back. Exhale, we're going to draw the elbows together, tucking the chin to the chest. Not using these hands as a force, but just as an extra weight. Rounding through this back. Inhale all the way up again, elbows separate, gaze up, draw the shoulder blades together, stick that bum out. Exhale, round through that spine, elbows drawing together, tucking the chin to the chest. One more time, big inhale all the way up. And exhale all the way down, really coming to the end of the inhale, end of the exhale. Remember, my breath is going to be different to yours, so be confident to go with the flow. Okay, hands away from you. This time we're going to take the palms together, forearms together, elbows together as much as you can. This is into a modified eagle arm pose. Really great for the back, separating the shoulder blades, working the shoulder mobility and flexibility. Really squeezing the palms together, squeezing the forearms together and pulling the forearms away from the face, pulling this chin back, trying to keep the forearms in line with the shoulders, feeling this stretch through the back of the shoulder blades. Keep those arms lifted, keep pulling the forearms away. 3, 2, and 1. Really nice. All the way down. Give those arms a bit of a shake if they need. Okay, coming into our tricep extension. So remember what I was saying about flexibility. It's all about the ability to extend that muscle. But this is also going to be working our mobility. So I've managed to get both of them in here. Okay, so arms out in front, like you're squeezing something together, like you've got a watermelon or something that you're holding. And a watermelon's heavy, right? So you've really got to hold this watermelon. You can feel this activation of the biceps and the front of the chest as you squeeze those hands together. And then we're going to take the hands up. We're going to take the hands up and arms up as much as we can without starting to stick out our bums, without starting to stick out our chest. That just means that there's a little bit of immobility in the upper back, and that is why we're overcompensating by sticking out our chest in order to get our arms higher. So take the arms as high as you can until you start to stick the rib cage out, and then stop there and then take the hands back down. And as you warm up, maybe you can take the arms higher without the rib cage flaring. Keep going. We're going to do 3 more of these. Keep that activation in the hands. Working that shoulder mobility, so that ball and socket joint that is super mobile, but it's not very stable. So we need to work the strength around this muscle. Okay, this time we're going to take the arms up as high as you can go without that flaring. And then you're going to bend the elbows, keeping the elbows tracking forward. Don't be tempted to drop them out to the sides. And then bend the hands back as close to the neck as you can, and then all the way back out. Even if your arms are just parallel, do the exact same. So arms, even if they're all the way overhead, try to keep these elbows inwards, so shoulder width distance and facing straight up. Keep this rib cage in. Okay, do 5 of these, remembering not to drop that watermelon. 3, 2, and 1. Really nice. You can feel it, can't you? Even though it's just a pretend watermelon, you can still feel it in the arms. So that's a very good reminder that you don't have to be holding weights. You don't need to be doing all of these things that you might see other people doing. You can do just these body weight exercises, and they are still so amazing. Okay, coming into that hamstring stretch, grabbing your strap or your dressing gown tie or your belt, whatever you have handy. Taking those legs out long, staying on that block, because like I was saying before, as soon as you come off that block, 9 times out of 10, you will slump because you just don't have that stability and that mobility in the lower back. And the hamstrings and the glutes also have an impact. Even I do this. Okay, so I want you to think about really lifting up, strap around the feet, and whilst we've got the feet here, flex them back towards your face. So rather than just the toes pulling back like so, really think about the whole of the forefoot pulling back as well. If the foot isn't flexed, the hamstrings cannot lengthen. It's all this reciprocal inhibition between the quads, the shins, and the hamstrings. So they have to be flexed. And think about these knees pulling up towards the hips, and that activates the thighs. So wrap the strap around wherever you need it, flexing these feet, sitting up tall. And I want you to think about the inhale, sitting out of this block. And on the exhale, you're going to fold forward the tiniest amount. But think about these hip creases. Even put one hand in that hip crease. And you're folding forward from the hip crease. So rather than folding forward from your shoulders or sticking your chin out, you want to just take this movement from the hips. So thinking about the bum sticking out is going to help you as well. But think about this chin being in, shoulder blades pulling together. So take the length of the strap wherever you need it. Keep those feet flexed back. If you need a bend in your knees, go for it. The other thing that could be super helpful here is grabbing these cushions and putting those under the knees if you feel like the knees just need a bit of extra support. Okay. Every inhale, lift out of that block, send the crown of the head higher. And every exhale, see if you can fold from the hip creases ever so slightly more. Keep those feet flexed back and keep breathing. Just notice here if the lower back has any kind of niggly pain or anything, and that could be a very key indicator that those hamstrings are super, super tight and you need to stick that bum out more. Working that anterior tilt. Bending up the knees is also going to reduce any lower back niggles, but if it's super, super painful, please come out of it. Final inhale. Exhale, come all the way back up. Take that strap away. Now you might want to keep these cushions close to you. We're going to take our left leg slightly out to the side. Again, that cushion can be placed under the knee if you need that support. And then we're going to have our right foot parallel to the side of the mat or to the front of the mat, depending however you're practicing. Again, both feet flexed. Thinking about this right knee drawing down to the ground, so that cushion could be there for that support as well. So you should be feeling a bit of a stretch through the outside of this right hip, still stretching this hamstring on the left side. Sitting up nice and tall. You're going to be so bored of me saying sitting up tall and breathing, but it's really important. Shoulder blades drawing back. And then again, folding from the hip creases, leaning forward. If you have another block, you could place that in front of you just as your support so that you can keep the hands driving into the ground, keep the shoulder blades pulling back. Keep both feet flexed and keep breathing here. Every inhale, see if you can draw the crown longer. That nice, really straight length down the crown of the head, through the back body, all the way down to the tailbone. Inhale, coming up, switching over to the other side, nice and slowly. Always help the legs from position to position. Right leg long, slightly extended to the side, using that cushion if needed. And then the left leg is now bent so the shin is parallel, both feet flexed. Remember, you've got that other cushion there if you need that support so that the left knee doesn't feel like it's just kind of hanging around in space. Have this block handy if you want. Inhale, lift. Exhale, folding from the hip creases. Shoulder blades squeezing together so you're not slumped like this. You're really opening up that chest. Flexing both feet. Just check in with your breath. Is the belly still filling up on that inhale? And then returning to normal on the exhale. Really nice deep breaths. Inhale, come all the way up, coming into a wide leg fold. Taking both legs as wide as you want them. They don't have to be wide. I'm going to keep these cushions underneath my knees. Again, that's going to help them just to feel nice and supported. You can have your knees bent, flex those feet. Why? Lengthening the hamstrings. Okay, we're still sitting on our block, really nice and tall. And then exhale, hands forward, folding from the hip creases. Again, you have got that block still there. Keep flexing these feet, pulling those knees up, activating the quads, allowing the hamstrings to lengthen. All of those things that I've been telling you still apply now. And breathing here. If you can, maybe you crawl that block a little bit further forward, sticking that bum out even more. Keeping the knees and the toes facing straight up. So we're working our external rotation. So external is where the thighs, the femurs roll away from the body. And that is why we want our knees and our toes facing up rather than straight forward. Okay, slowly inhale all the way up. Hands onto the thighs, just give them a helping hand to come back to center. Give them a big squeeze. And breathe here. Okay, coming into our final stretch, coming into our reverse tabletop. So take everything away from you. Block that you're sitting on, just take that away. Swing those legs round to the front. Now, if you know that your wrists are a little bit sensitive, you can do this on your fist. So create a fist and then place those onto the ground. So we've got our hands or our fists just underneath our shoulders, placed about shoulders width apart. And our feet are about hips width distance apart. Just in this about just over 90-degree angle. Okay, grounding through the big toes. So really thinking about the big toes grounding because we don't want these knees to fall out to the side. We're going to inhale, take our bum towards our heels and then drive the bum up to the sky. So a really nice stretch for the shoulders, for those quads, for the hip flexors at the front. Squeeze those glutes. Drive through the heels, that's going to help activate the glutes. And then come down. If you need to every time, just take the wrists in the other direction for a nice stretch. If this feels really awkward on your shoulders, do not do it. Come into child's pose and we'll join you there because that is where we're all going. Okay, do this 2 more times. Really engage those glutes, squeezing and down. And then 1 more. Bum towards the heels and then drive up. Think about the index finger and the thumb pushing into the ground as well as the big toe. Okay, all the way down, swing those legs around. We're all coming into our child's pose. Now, if your knees feel like they're really stretching back here, you've got your cushions. So place those just in the creases of your knees. That is going to then take this angle away, so it's not going to be so folded back. And then either knees together or knees apart, roll all the way down so the forehead's resting on the ground. Remember, you have your blocks handy if you need to rest your forehead onto a block if that feels a little bit too far away. And just rest here, whether the hands are out in front or behind. Feeling this stretch through the lower back. With every inhale, feel the breath filling up the belly, the back and the sides of the ribs all the way up to the collarbone. And on the exhale, exhale in reverse. So air from the collarbone, back and sides of the ribs and then the belly. Do this a few more times. Really feel yourself sinking into the mat here. Now coming all the way up, coming into our Shavasana. If you're comfortable lying down and then getting back up again, go for it. What I would suggest is a really nice, comfortable way to come into your Shavasana is taking those cushions behind the knees all the way down. What you could even do, if it feels a little bit far away, grab your block, put it on your lower back, so just above the tailbone, and then come into this bridge. So feet at hips width distance apart, knees straight up. And you can even take your feet out as wide as the mat and knock the knees in. That should feel really nice on that lower back. And then the other option is just stay in your chair or sit onto your block or your cushion and come all the way up to seated, whatever position that looks like for you. Just a couple minutes here just to allow ourselves to decompress. Closing down the eyes, allowing those hands to feel really loose. Shoulders dropping away from the ears. Jaw and eyes nice and relaxed. And just focusing on our breath. Tuning in with your body, noticing how it feels. If there's any areas of tension that you need to breathe away, use those exhales to get rid of that tension. Staying here if you have time. If not, start to bring some movement back into the body, wiggling the toes, wiggling the fingers. Taking that movement up to the wrists, ankles, arms, legs. If you're lying down, start to make your way all the way up to seated really slowly. And come to join us in this seated position. Grab your block or your cushion. Take your hands to heart center. Bow the chin to the chest, thumbs to the third eye, so that space in between your eyebrows, and bow the chin to the chest. Take a moment here just to feel really proud of yourself. How often are we allowed to feel this pride? We feel it in others and we tell others, but it's not often that we reflect on our achievements and things that we do to look after ourselves. And I am super proud of you for working this flexibility class into your day, helping you to maintain that flexibility that you already have and looking after number one. Whenever you're ready, start to take the hands away from the eyes, back to the thighs, and blink the eyes open.